Good evening, afternoon, morning, somewhere in between. Hopefully everyone's doing well. And we'll just be going over a little bit of the events of Mar-A-Lago, when all of its tedious glory. Afternoon, morning, somewhere in between. So, let's see. Where's a good place to start? Well, my inclination is go ahead and start with a little bit of a timeline, which was updated today, August 31st, 2022. So, a lot of drivel. You all can look through these timelines on your own leisure, but just kind of a quick rundown. So, all started January 14th, 2021. About the boxes being wheeled out of the White House for Trump during the move. Which, I mean, hell, the Clintons took, their staff took W's off of keyboards when they left. They stole furniture and returned most of it. And they even had their little crony Sandy Berger go and get into the National Archives like 4 or 5 years afterwards. I think it was 2003 to remove classified documents. Hey, Based, how are you doing? Just going through the fun timeline of Mar-A-Lago and getting into the redacted bit. Well, damn, I have a flautist in the audience I can see with Earl Testicules there. Yeah, that's going to be a fun one to say. So, yeah, just kind of looking at all this. National Archives starts invoking the Presidential Records Act back January 31st of 2022. And this is when, locks were requested being put on doors, things of that nature. And this is where it starts getting interesting. February 9th. Inspector General of the Archives Office goes and starts the process of investigating Trump's handling of records. Okay. So, again, a lot of back and forth is going on here. Again, I'm not going to foul language. I mean, I'd be a loon not to use it. So, and again, this is one of those, the president is well within any of his rights to classify or declassify documents at any level. And while in office, outside of office, that's more of a gray area. But as you can see, they're wasting no time once they get the ball rolling in early May. Talk about extensions, going through and wanting these documents. And yeah, this is all stuff we very well know. But just to give you a timeline, this has been going on since Trump left office, essentially. So, get through little Weasel Garland. Well, I'm glad this is archived because it won't play weenie speak. And this is where it's getting interesting. And I don't see a lot of people talking about it after the redacted papers were released. Well, the redacted affidavit. Trump files a lawsuit basically requesting someone come in as a objective third party to look into this. So, Weasel archivist sending a letter to staff saying, "Oh, no, we're fiercely non-political." Well, yeah, I don't know about you guys in chat, but when I hear fiercely non-political, that tells me that, yeah, this is definitely left wing. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just jaded like that. Don't know. So, again, this is, more up to date just this last week. U.S. District Judge in Florida, Eileen Cannon, presiding over the request for a third-party review, indicating she is likely, and I think that would be a good thing. And just kind of, and I'll get into it a little more depth. Oh, not as much depth as Earl has gotten himself into. But yes, so. And this is a point I really want to touch on. Justice Department alleges obstructive conduct at Mar-A-Lago. So, this is actually possibly the most important aspect in any of this at all. Period. End of story. And just a little bit of foreshadowing. What they're going to do is something called a process crime, and yes, well, just a tip of the hat. And Base Ape, you have some competition there. Instead of just holding candles up, Earl seems to have gone the full Monty. So, whoop-de-doo. And if anybody really wants to waste their time and go to CBS and look at all that shit, I would encourage you to do so, but the important thing is they're starting down this obstructive conduct. So, something for the memes, The Guardian. They're talking about, the details of probable cause, and when we get to the actual affidavit, which I think is important to go through, because, again, I don't see a lot of other YouTubers delving into what's actually there and kind of raking it through the coals. And they'll just make comments on it and move on. Which, Yeah, well, I mean, constant bullshit station is definitely going to be an instant regret. So, talking about, the sources and all this. And again, this is the old thing that has plagued Trump since he took office. Insiders with knowledge who are secret. Always coming up with various things. So, yep. I mean, if The Guardian was in print, it might be useful to line a hamster cage, but probably not. So, nope. So, again, another recap, a little better detailed. So, talking about highly classified documents, including top secret, confidential, secret. I mean, a lot of these are probably records, personally useful to Trump. It's not uncommon for presidents to have copies of these things. But, of course, it's orange mad bad. So, yep. So this is interesting. Again, back at the timeline, they started this in January and of 2021, and only on June 8th of this year, before the raid, do they send a warning about sensitive material not being held in a secured way. I based the question on that physical aspect of The Guardian. is it really safe to burn? I mean, it sounds like it might cause asbestosis or something fun like that. Just asking, yeah. It sounds like it might, cause more harm than good, instead of just being at the bottom of a cage covered in fecal matter. So, all right. Enough of idiots analyzing this professionally. Let's take it to as a idiot amateur going through. So, again, this is a copy of the search warrant, declassified August 11th. I've already been through this in a previous episode, but I just wanted to include a quick scroll through just for clarity. No, I mean, to hell with the environment based. I mean, nature burns stuff quite readily. So, this is, which document is this? Okay, so this is the redacted affidavit of the search warrant. And this was 15 days after the initial one. Thank you, Earl. That's quite kind of a flautist like yourself. So, we go through the procedural background, information on showing a burden of good cause, which is part of the affidavit itself. And you get into some of the legal arguments about the redaction. This is really nothing terribly interesting, with the exception of this portion. Witness information. First and foremost, the government protect the identity of witnesses at this stage of the investigation to ensure their safety. As this court noted, if information relating to witnesses is disclosed, it is likely that even witnesses who are not expressly named in the affidavit would be quickly and broadly identified over social media and other communication channels, which could lead them to being harassed and intimidated. Earl, the Guardian in print is useful for lining your jacket should you find yourself homeless, as you should be reading the Guardian. I mean, I would say it's probably best at its use as a liner. So, this is where we get into all the lovely little black bars. And it's like, you go through and it's like, okay, information, the affidavit could be used to identify many, if not all of the witnesses, for example. And if the witnesses' identities are exposed, they could be subjected to harms including retaliation, intimidation, harassment, even threats to their physical safety, as the court has already noted. These concerns are not hypothetical cases. Yeah. Black lines do indeed matter. So, this is one of those, I think 4chan would have had a field day with this. So, meanwhile, FBI agents, it's been a long day. I'm mumbling my words quite a bit tonight. And haven't been drinking. So, congratulations. You get full mumble bleach. So, meanwhile, FBI agents who have been publicly identified in connection with this investigation have received repeated threats of violence from members of the public. Exposure of witnesses' identities would likely erode their trust in the government's investigation and would almost certainly chill other potential witnesses from coming forward. And there it is. Basically, it's just this big boilerplate of, well, if anybody's ever identified, then, it's a thing that we've got to really worry about. I mean, Earl, myself personally, I like the older Grand Union flag, just because it's kind of a warning gesture to the English, but that's just me. So we get the investigation roadmap. Although the public is now aware that the government executed search warrant on the premises owned by the former president and seized documents marked as classified, the affidavit is replete with further information that provide a roadmap for anyone intent on obstructing the investigation. Maximizing the government's access to unattained facts increases its ability to make fully informed prosecutive decision. And again, another example. As explained in the affidavit, more redactions. In short, the government has well-founded concerns that steps may be taken to frustrate or otherwise interfere with the investigation if facts of the affidavit are prematurely disclosed. Again, that's a hell of a lot of black lines for saying, no, we're going to release something, but only because we have to legally. And, this is something I find interesting. This is just an aside that I think is worth noting. They talk about Labau versus U.S. Department of Justice, 2016, internal quotations omitted as the footnote here. So they're citing something, but I'm not quite sure what that's going to be. Which, again, that draws up a lot more questions for me than anything else. So, the conclusion, for reasons stated herein, the court should maintain under seal the text of the government has marked for redaction. Government defers to the court to determine whether redactions are so extensive that the release of the remainder at the affidavit would result in a meaningless disclosure. Should the court order to disclose redacted version of this affidavit, the court agrees that government's proposed redactions, government will submit a final submission. And yeah, this isn't even the full redacted document. I need to correct myself here. This is a notice, a legal notice internal to the court about the redacted memo. So here's the affidavit itself. Sorry if this is a lot of scroll text heavy today, but I think it's very important to get onto some of this. So we get an introduction onto the agent and their background. And FBI's investigation to the documents being classified markings appear in the NDI. Contain 15 boxes in an unauthorized location, which I will remind you, they said you need to secure this on June 8th, I believe. So, probable cause to believe additional documents contain classified NDI or presidential records subject to record retention requirements. So, yeah, I just find it interesting. Oh, hey, cat. So, we have a special agent with the Washington field office. And so this is definitely an inside the beltway type. Let's see. So this officer, or special agent, my apologies, quote unquote. Based on my experience and training, I'm familiar with efforts used to unlawfully collect, retain, and disseminate government information, including classified NDIs. So, yeah. So somebody who knows who snitches are, rather. Source of the evidence. So, facts set forth in this affidavit are based on my personal knowledge obtained during my participation in this investigation, and information obtained from other FBI and U.S. government personnel. Little touch on the side of the nose here, because this affidavit is submitted for the limited purpose of establishing probable cause in support of an application for a search warrant. It does not set forth each and every fact that I or others have learned during the course of this investigation. So, they talk about the FISA courts, non-releasable for national U.S. citizens, documents. Yeah. Basically, they're laying out all the legal groundwork under which this affidavit is going to be referred to get a warrant. So, probable cause for the referral. So that goes back to February of 2022. And I'm sure you have heard it ad nauseum by now. This is when the National Archives is going through and saying, yep, we need access to these boxes because, there might be a baseball card. Something like that. So, let's see. The main letter was mainly public, URL, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah. National Archives did not find anything that they were given upon request presidential records in an ordinary and routine process in legacy accordance for Presidential Records Act. So, Trump makes this statement with the Save America PAC. And then redacted. Redacted. Boxes can... Again, all of that. Just to prove that something had happened, but without any context, it's absolutely meaningless. According to CBS Miami article, which is why I went to CBS earlier, article titled "Moving Trucks Spotted at Mar-A-Lago, January 18th, 2022. And if my memory is correct, which it probably isn't, this investigation started on January 22nd of 2021. So, more redactions, redacted picture, more redacted. Provision of the 15 boxes is in the NARA. Yeah, this is a lot of redactions. On about May 6th, 2021, NARA, using the Presidential Record Act, continued to make requests until approximately late December 2021, when the NARA was informed 12 boxes were ready for retrieval at the premises. And then, so it's clear that they could go and pick up these boxes sometime after December 2021. Lots of redactions. And you could probably get, somebody getting a stroke or something going on with as much redactions going on here. 15 boxes provided, so, yep. The FBI conducted a preliminary investigation May 16th through 18th, 2022, of the boxes provided for National Archives to identify documents with markings. So they were getting these documents before they launched the raid. That's interesting. And then, breakdown of the documents bearing classifications. Not a big deal. This is probably detailing them. So, and I don't know about you, chat, but the fact that they're citing news articles, I mean, even if it is Breitbart, as moments to launch further investigations, I find rather curious. So, let's see. Exhibit 1, ask the DOJ to consider principles, including the council, claim that the president's absolute authority to declassify in a letter, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, and then you get into this Breitbart article that they cite. And then more redactions. So DOJ sent the presidential council a letter in which it reiterated the premises were not authorized to store classified information and requested preservation of the storage room boxes that had been moved to from the White House to the premises, specifically stating in a letter, as previously indicated to you, Mar-A-Lago does not include a secure location authorized for storage of classified information. As such, it appears that since the time of the classified documents, bleh, you see why I be the one? Yes, indeed. Well, you're late and going to be stuck at a pride parade for being so. So, yep, talking about basically, yes, yeah, it's not secured, which brings up something that I hadn't given a great deal of thought to until I read that particular statement. So, Trump had used Mar-a-Lago during his time as president, and that would have included storing classified information while he was president. So that's something worth noting and pondering on. Well, you see why I be the one. I mean, you can protest all you want, but showing up late, that throws everything into question. So, more redactions. I mean, just paragraphs upon paragraphs. Oh, well, at least they left the header. There is probable cause to believe that documents containing classified NDI and presidential record remain at the premises. Well, that's absolutely lovely. All this lovely redacted evidence. I should probably put a seizure warning on the front of this episode. So, yep. So, based upon this investigation, I believe storage rooms of the former president's suite, Pine Hall, the 45 office, and other spaces are not currently authorized location for storage of classified information, or NDI. So again, that to me kind of ties back into, had it been previously authorized and then due to caveat of Joe Tato, suddenly, declassified. So, yada, yada, yada. Conclusion: based on the foregoing facts and circumstance, I submit probable cause to believe evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other illegally possessed in violation of 18 USC, yada, 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 will be found at the premises. I further submit affidavit supports probable cause for a search warrant of the premises described in Attachment A and seize items described in Attachment B. Requests for seal. And all this kind of goes through what you're already familiar with. So, Exhibit 1. So this is, let's see, Chief Counterintelligence and Export Control Section, National Security Division, Department of Justice. Okay. So this is Trump's lawyers writing, talking about presidential right to declassify, making citations. Earl, when did they change the parameters and requirements for storage of classified documents? That's a good question, because, and I'd like to see a timeline of that, but because Mar-A-Lago was used by Trump during his time as president, I'm assuming that ended as soon as he left office officially. But let's see. Also, Earl, we had to have 2 doors, each with 2 locks, just like storing weapons. Yeah, and it's not uncommon for other secured places to require things like, ID badging and all that other surveillance stuff. But yeah, this brings up a lot of questions. Yeah, more so than I think anybody is really willing to address, and that's kind of a gotcha kind of thing to me. So Attachment A. All right, so we've already been through this about what information they're looking for, that sort of thing. So this has been making the rounds of the big secret scary shit that Trump has, and of course the left is just absolutely losing their mind and saying that these were stored in this manner, which, I mean, it's clear that this was all done by the agents documenting what's there. But yeah, you see the time box that was being so terribly, terribly abused by the Trump administration. So draw your own conclusions on people reacting to this. Oh, the Interdependent. So, yeah, this is the people, losing their minds over this, and they're going and scolding Trump's defenders that the media, and documents seized belong to the United States, not the former president. And yeah, basically the way the Presidential Retention Documents Act, whatever, you guys know what I'm saying. Basically, anything given to the president is government property from that point. So, if Earl were to, give President Trump a bronzed condom, that's suddenly government property. So, this is a little bit out of order, but so Trump has filed, a suit against the DOJ. Basically, this is the document where he's demanding a third party, a I think they referred to it as a master, take a look at these documents and determine the truth of the matter. So, kind of a cool website I found a while back, but it's one that's worth noting. And it gives you, the public documents that are available, redacted and otherwise, of court filings. So on August 22nd, Trump filed a complaint/motion for judicial oversight or additional relief against the United States of America. I mean, yeah, Bleach brand bronze condoms. I mean, you see why I be the one? I mean, I'm putting you in charge of marketing. Although I think a slogan is, it's hard to beat a bronze. It should kind of be worked into that somehow. Pun intended. So, going through, it's like, okay, here's motions for third parties to get involved. Basically, is to be present in the courtroom for a lot of this. And you'll notice once we get down here a little further, summonses are issued to various, departments of the United States. Actually, let's see, which one is it? Sorry, I've got a lot of these, and they don't all. Here we go. So, news media joint motion to intervene for the limited purpose of obtaining access to court records to unseal same with supporting memorandum. So you get CBS, Dow Jones, Wall Street Journal, Palm Beach Post, Garnet. They are one of the major news outlet owners. Some people go for the gold. Let her go first. Go for the bronze. Earl, that is spot on. So, yep. So the news agencies are doing their typical prying eyes. But are we shocked at all with any of this? So, back to that first amicus brief, and they're talking about, there's no legal basis to appoint a special master. That was the term I was looking for. Special master to review the claim of executive privilege. And basically, these attorneys are being paid to go in and say, yep, no, sorry. Yeah. We can't we can't allow anybody to go in and say, yes, here I'm an independent body. So, you see why I be the one? Royalties? Well, I mean, if we get more than 50 cents, you're welcome to 10 of that. So, they're talking about how, the relief sought by the president is unprecedented. Which, yes, but this is an unprecedented case in a lot of ways, too. Let's see. Yada, yada, yada. And forget the second. It's, I think, usually worthless. Third, appoint special master to adjudicate claims of executive privilege would be a waste of time because the claim of executive privilege against the executive branch is manifestly frivolous. Yeah, that basically obstructing all of the normal procedures for discovery. So, yep. interesting piece. Courtlistener.com is this website. You can go look it up. If you really want to go into a deep dive, but I think this is more good information just to have to know what's going on. So, back to kind of the general flavor of things, and just, we're looking up at things up to today where you've got a lot of media outlets making a request, as well as other organizations like those other attorneys coming in and saying, no, we're filing an amicus brief on the side of the United States of America and saying, screw transparency, we want this just punched through. So, and I swear this is all old fax machines being reused and revitalized by the federal government. So, motion for judicial oversight and additional relief. President Donald J. Trump. The general flavor of Bleach brand bronze condoms. Well, you see why I beat a one. I mean, I would imagine it would have to be a bit coppery tasting, but I would say go with pineapple, because it does go on pizza. So, President Donald J. Trump, undersigned counsel, respectfully files a motion for judicial oversight and additional relief, which seeks order that appoints a special master, enjoins further review of seized materials by the government until a special master is appointed, and requires the government to provide more detailed receipt for property, and requires the government to return any seized items not within the scope of the search warrant, and states as follows. Exactly, Earl. I don't know. I mean, chicken and waffles might be one hell of a flavor for bronze condoms. And you see why I beat a one. Honey, maybe, but only if you're trying to acclimate the woman to your allergens. Wait, based you were actually subscribed? I mean, I'm more shocked than anything else. But, if that's what drives you away, well, then I'm all for it. Earl, make it taste like validation from her father, so probably cigarette and old milk. Just a guess. Yeah, that's if it's for Ashley Biden. Oh, I need a soundboard for rim shot on that one. Oh, no. You see why I mean what? I keep going. There's probably plenty of other things going. It doesn't really bother me, unlike some people. So, let's see. All right. So we get a little bit into some of the questions, and significantly based whiskey and black-eyed flavor condoms. My question is, how do you know what a black eye tastes like? I mean, I'm genuinely curious. Was this from one of your misadventures rescuing your cat? Significantly, the government has refused to provide President Trump with any reason for the unprecedented general search of his home. To date, the government has failed to legitimize this historic decision to raid a home of a president who's been fully cooperative. Instead, faced public backlash, the Attorney General has taken unheard of step of announcing at the press conference that he is willing to release portions of the sealed search warrant application. Government leaks to favored media outlets have provided ever-changing and inaccurate justifications, like the nuclear codes. And yeah, this is typical. Yeah, I'm nothing earth-shattering, but it is one of those things where I think it's justified to ask the question of the court how to justify the actions of the FBI in this case. And this being 27 pages long, we'll just scroll through it, see if there's anything worthwhile. Earl, that's the standard Alabama flavor, also from Alabama. And Bay State, it's blood and cum. Well, I mean, I've just tried to figure out. No, I'm not going there because that could be very entertaining over a pint, but probably not YouTube safe. Based, you're only 4 beers deep. I mean, at least go 6 beers deep before I'm done. I mean, that's all I request of you. After 6 beers, then consider behaving. But right now, I'm not monetized on here for a reason. 4 shots and 5 beers deep, Earl. That's not bad. Actually, that's quite approvable. So let's see. Yada yada yada. They talk about Garland's press conference. Here we go. All right, finally. After all this, at least this isn't all redacted, but holy shit. Let's see. Extraordinarily unusual conduct of the DOJ raises fundamental Fourth Amendment concerns. So, yep. Right of people to be secured in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued upon probable cause supported by an oath or affirmation, so an affidavit, and particularly describing the place to be searched and persons and things to be seized. Which, I think the big thing is, when you look at that, it's like, all right, the affidavit, if it had been a bit clearer, instead of just redacted all to hell, I think we would have been able to say, oh, okay, yeah, they were looking in these rooms and these things, which, yes, is stated in the warrant, but it would be nice to see that affidavit expressly saying why. You see why I be the one. Rip Earl. Earl testiculate. Sorry, Earl. Big sip each time Bleach laughs. Chug when he gives an exasperated sigh. I mean, well, there you go. Big sip for you. Also, Earl, Rip, that's nothing. I'll polish off an 18-pack around the fire tonight. I mean, based. As long as it's like actual beer, not like Southpaw or some alcoholic piss water. So, talking about the warrant being overly broad. Yep. Government sought to improperly evade limitations on enforcing Presidential Records Act. That's interesting. Investigation required 15 of NARA boxes. In the referral, questions on the dockets, virtually complete, yada, yada, yada. So, that's where it's interesting. There's no criminal enforcement mechanism or penalty in the Presidential Records Act. Yingling. Yes, that's a excellent choice, as is Guinness. Yeah, I had a rather large 6-pack of, and when I say large, it was, was it like the 16-ounce cans from one of my local breweries. And Bay State drinking game every time the DOJ explicitly bends the rules because it's Trump two fingers. I mean, if you want alcohol poisoning, go right ahead. I mean, I'm not going to stop you. I'm also not going to be held liable for reading chat in that regards too. So, interesting line. The government has long treated President Trump unfairly. The FBI and DOJ have demonstrated a willingness to treat President Trump differently than other citizens. 2 years of noisy Russian collusion investigations led to a special counsel finding of FBI agents, yada, yada, yada. Information laundering. So, all things that we're familiar with. And one line in here I think is important to notice. An assistant director at the FBI was referred to for prosecution for lying repeatedly about the Trump probe, exchanged text messages between lead agent Peter Strzok and his paramour Lisa Page reflect their complete disdain and bias against President Trump and his supporters, while they were entrusted with probing the farcical Russian collusion. Yep. And that I remember they were talking about in their text messages between Strzok and Page that they had to have an insurance policy against Trump. I mean, this sounds like an insurance policy. Yeah, it just doesn't have an escape clause at the moment. Earl, by the gods, I don't have that much whiskey. Yeah, and you see why be the one. Me liable. No. I think you're liable. I think that is definitely the correct way to read that. Is, oh, you see why I'd be the one, are liable. So, yep. I think that's enough of this long legalese document. And, you know, all right, so, yep, they're going into, yep, these receipts for property is garbage, and I have to agree. And let's see. Oh, this is just the executive summary. And yep, judicial oversight. So this was nothing terribly exciting, to be honest. An accessory and an enabler, you see why I be the one. But it's not advice. So, all right. So, this is notice of potential special master candidates. Court provide notice of this preliminary intent to appoint a special master. In this case, in accordance with the rules of the court, the undersigned respectfully proffers the attached letter and assorted attachments, which I did not include for liability reasons and whatnot. Although you can, it's probably here on courtlistener.com. And, yep, letter informs the court that 4 legal scholars who specialize in inter alia matters of executive privilege are available for appointment should the court make a final decision to appoint a special master. Neither the author of this list, the scholars themselves, nor the undersigned take any position on whether the court should appoint a special master or not. This is for informational. So, yep. Bay State will all sound like Biden 20 minutes from now. I was rough. I was told Saruman, hey Bucko, you just set pressure anyway. Yeah. that's. I mean, part of me is damn you, Bay State, and also that's brilliant, and I was dumb enough to read it out all the way. So, and that's another sip. So, yep. More notices, and I think I pulled this one accidentally. Yep. That was a accidental pull. So, Earl, come on, man. You're a bad dude like Corn Pop. So, with all that knowledge that we've gone over, probably exhaustingly, I think it's worth pointing out to say, I think what they're going to possibly try to do is get Trump on process crimes. So, and before I go into process crimes, just Lawfare blog talking about, the judge is inclined to look into appointing the special master. And there's going to be oral arguments tomorrow. And hopefully I can pull some of that up. Although that probably won't be until a Friday for me that I'll be able to cover it. But we'll see. Hopefully we'll get some information coming out of that. You see why I'd be the one. The thing. And Earl, if you don't vote for me, you ain't. And you can answer the rest on your own. So, why is it, Oh, yeah, you see why I'm the one. That last bit, now clap for that, you dumb bastards, which probably should be the way I end this stream tonight. Yeah, I mean, his hairy legs. Kids just love playing with his hairy legs. So, oh man. So that's a deep drink and a shot. So I got you double time that one. So Trump pleading the fifth and this was specifically about one of the New York investigations, which there's so many of those damn things. I just haven't kept up. And yes, I archived Newsweek because, well, I just thought it was funny. But the big thing is, I think what they're going to start doing is going after Trump over process crimes, because that's how they got Roger Stone. That's how they've gotten other people within Trump's orbit. Is basically, yep, all right, let's go in. It's a process crime. You changed your statement to the FBI or DOJ, and it's just going to be just a word different, and they can go after you technically. And Earl, let's see, don't forget the FBI basically made Biden's daughter's diary factual by conducting raids on Veritas. Yes, indeed. You see why I'd be the one. He said that to a room full of servicemen during the campaign. Yep, no one ever brought it up again. Yeah, I think it was it Marines? Yeah, I'm Biden's just a career politician. Yeah. So, process crimes or obstruction of justice, and they talk about, falsely misleading statements, contempt, perjury, failure to appear. And I think where they're really going to go after Trump is with the false and misleading statements. We've all heard Trump speak. He talks in kind of these grandiose, very word salady ways. But that's the thing. Yeah, that's where they're gonna get him, because he won't repeat exactly the same thing twice, and that is exactly where they're going to go. So, and this is actually a really good website, and it's talking about examples of obstruction of justice. So, based 8. Okay, seriously though, how is Trump not, the usual way the three-letter agencies deal with people like they don't like? Actually blows my mind he's still alive, not to jinx anything. Yeah, I mean, he's so high profile, though, I don't think they would try anything overt just yet. And that's one hell of a prediction there, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of scary at how deep this rabbit hole goes. Also, based, do you think America would legit go to war if they tried it? Maybe I should do just an episode at some point on how I think things could go completely off the rails. Because America's a divided country, always has been, and after I read in a book talking about our American Revolution, America's distinctly divided into thirds. Now, the actual numbers kind of change within those thirds as far as percentages goes, but the basic premise is Americans are divided into thirds. A third for something, a third against something, and a third that just wants to be left the hell alone. And the way the media is spinning things, they're definitely in the third against, and they're driving that hard. It's that third in the middle that I think are so exasperated right now that if something were to happen, they would side pretty much against the government because they're being affected by things so drastically in economics. When fuel costs and whatnot are just so high, and there's worries over here about the energy crisis in Europe affecting our fuel costs over winter, it just compounds even more. So, to more simply answer your question, based, I think yes, but it will not be in kind of the traditional ways we've seen countries fall apart. I think it will be more heavily localized, and it's all going to depend on how the government under Biden reacts if something like that were to start happening. So, examples of obstruction of justice, obstruction of court orders, obstruction of state and local laws, obstruction of a federal agency, department, or committee proceedings. Process crime, right there. Witness, victim, or informant tampering. So that's where they get into the redaction. Influencing or injuring an officer or juror. Okay, nothing new. Obstructing criminal health care of an investigation. Nothing new there. Altering, destroying, falsifying records. That's what they're going to try. And resisting of extradition of by an agent. Nothing to worry about there. Conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and contempt. Now, contempt, I think they could go after Trump for in some rigmarole sort of way. So, there you go. There's kind of a definition of obstruction and really more, what also called process crimes. So, go away. We don't need to chat with you. So, false statements gets back into, yep, Trump could be, have his words not match exactly, and they go after him. Internet crimes, they'll probably make more things internet crimes. So, but, yep, and just proof from a North Carolina station. Roger Stone downplays process crime after arrest by the FBI. 2019. So, yes. Indictment based on process crime. And, yeah. I don't know what more to say on that other than his statements didn't match up, and they decided, yep, it's time to go and nail this guy with Roger Stone. So, just to kind of recap all of that. The affidavit is completely useless. It gives us no information. And honestly, I think it's causing more problems intentionally than it is answering questions. And I don't know what else more to say on that, because this is not about actually charging with Trump on anything other than a process crime, in my personal opinion. So, and in just kind of a brief thing, kind of fairly new news going on. This Timothy Thibault, or Thibault, I don't care, was an FBI agent that's been fired or asked to resign because of his obstruction of the Hunter Biden issue, the laptop and all that, which I think it's worth noting that the field office is the Washington field office for both the Trump investigation and the Hunter Biden cover-up. So, not a whole hell of a lot to say on that, because it's only a day old, and, well, let's be honest, the media just bumbles this so much. Yeah, as Public Enemy would say, fight the power. Yeah, kinda. I mean, it's fight the deep state, fight the entrenched bureaucrats. That's typically where my mind goes. So, I think the only thing worth noting is the FBI has been acting in a shady manner, even kind of according to themselves. And I think I won't say that it's a conspiracy or anything like that. I think it was just people of like minds seeing opportunities to confound and confuse the election. In what the outcome would have changed, who knows? But I think it's a big black mark on the reputation of the FBI, and they've had this problem since the beginning of the Trump administration, and in other ways they've had black marks against them in the past. And this is just compounding how undermined they are as an agency now, because they picked a side in the PR war rather than trying to win in a self-preservation kind of way. So, Earl, yep, they're going to character assassinate him, find dirt, or make some. Yeah, I mean, hell, the Steele dossier, everything is just character assassination. And that's the first tactic they use, whether it's against Trump, or they're probably going to do this against Thibault, too. because anybody who's a threat to the operation of the deep state is somebody to be ushered out of the public sphere. So, yeah, let's see. Letter singled out Justice Department official Pilger, identified the direction of the direction. God, I should have some of those Englings there. So, identified as the director of the Election Crimes Branch within the DOJ, Public Integrity Section, who, along with Thibault, were alleged to be deeply involved in decisions to open and pursue this investigation, an apparent reference to the recent probe opened in the Trump campaign. Yep. Yes, Earl. He's a whistleblower, and they have to discredit and lessen the damage to themselves, always. Because one thing is for certain, people who are making six figures and above just by, being government louts, they're going to do everything they can to maintain those pensions. So, yep. More to come, I'm sure. That guy looks like he's got an agenda on his mind. No, I can't scroll down any further because it might reveal more than I want to show on this. But yeah, again, this is all just tied into. We need to return to the spoils system. Basically, you fire everybody from the mid-level, upper level, and lowest level, and they need to go in and reapply for their old jobs under new heads. And this administrative state just needs to be gone. Just gone. That's not the way this country, or any country, was really designed, with the exception of the Soviet satellite states, to operate. Let's see, Earl again, and their connections to the private sector, foreign interests to make more money after office. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whether it's a politician or some paper pusher, they always land on their feet, and they always find a way to make extra money after the fact. Yeah, sometimes it's a tell-all book. Sometimes it's being pointed as some executive advisor somewhere. Yeah. But, figured, little humor, because the left is trying to resurrect Dark Brandon. I mean, I think Styx calls him Alzheimer's Adolf. And I couldn't agree more. Let's see. Earl, a military general sitting on a board of major government contractor. Yeah, I mean, like Raytheon, General Dynamics, to name a few. So, yep. Yes. So, let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see if we can follow this rabbit hole a little bit. Cases against rest. Okay. So apparently, 20 people were arrested in Florida, Broward County. If you remember the 2000 election, that was one of the Dimple Chad counties. So, voting illegally. Supposedly the state's case is falling apart, but I mean, honestly, I'm just like, I want to see how this actually happens. Because I think it was Minnesota back in, can't remember the election, but when Al Franken was senator, there were convictions for voter fraud back during that election. So I'm not going to say anything other than it's been done. And yeah, that's all I really can say. So, Beanie Man. So, yep, nothing new. But you notice how the nuclear documents aspect has been dropped. I find that rather curious. You see why I be the one? Yes. Hanging Chads, Dimple Chads, Half Punch Chads, Invisa Chads. I mean, ironically enough, that's why I hate when somebody's like, yeah, he's a total Chad now. It's like, no, I don't want to be referred to as a dimple. So. And I also figured that we would go and watch a little bit of this lovely, lovely speech by the Potato in Chief. Bay State, those are what decided the election.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Wait. Before we walk down, I wanted the Casey's to come up with me because where I come from, Scranton's Casey's country.
So here we have old Potato Head Joe. First, he's going to go find an invisible man to shake hands with.
In the whole country. And I just wanted
Based, yeah, biting already. That just means you have to have another pint.
And by the way, this guy has more integrity in his little finger than most people have in their whole body. That's why I love working with him.
And he's groping the woman. He's moving in. He's got that hand. She's trapped.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for loaning him the wife.
As my mother, Jean Finnegan Biden from Greenridge would say, excuse my back when I'm speaking. I apologize.
Yeah, sure.
You know, one of the best things of all being President of the United States is the Marine Band. They're the best in the world. Stand up, guys. They are the very, 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 very best.
Wait. Did he say stand up? As in...
Stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
Yeah, never forget. Never forget that Biden tried to make a man in a wheelchair stand up.
They can not only play, they know how to fight, too. God love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
I don't think they had much of a damn choice.
Thank you very much. Thank you. How are you, baby? How old are you?
Oh, God.
How old are you? Almost double figures.
Oh, she's too young for him.
It's great to be here in Wilkes-Barre. I mean that sincerely. Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much. Mayor Brown, thank you for the introduction and the passport into this great city. And Mayor Cognetti, it's almost...
Oh, no, you see why I be the one. He's got more than two voices. He's got three.
Being raised in Scranton,
he's got
going down the line,
angry old man voice.
You know, and what
Monsieur Everard, bonjour.
I want to thank your outstanding governor, Tom Wolf.
Well, thanks for dropping in. Appreciate it. And I need to brush up more on my speaking of French rather than just being able to listen.
And a stand-up guy. A stand-up guy. And Josh Shapiro is a champion for the rule of law as your Attorney General.
Ah, yes.
And he's going to make one hell of a governor. I really mean it. And by the way, he couldn't be here today. We spoke Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman. When I say he's a powerful
Bay
voice,
State, poor guy assigned disabled at birth. Evil doctors, preschool teachers should be making those decisions.
Really big and tough, I wouldn't screw with him about a sledgehammer. Well, I tell you what, Fetterman's a hell of a guy. A powerful voice for working people, and he's going to make a great United States Senator.
Yeah, no, he's not.
United States Senator.
Look at all those
As I said, Bobby Casey's
people.
one
All
of my
the
friends, one of
notice
my
they've got young women kind of like up in a corner near where he's going to be entering and exiting.
I'm here. I'm in Cartwright country.
Oh, God.
He knows how to deliver for this district, which is so close to my heart. Look, I especially want to thank all the members of law enforcement who are here, many of whom are behind me.
Strangely enough, the man who wanted to defund the police at one point is now thanking the cops.
By the way, also, a group that you need badly, you don't really appreciate till you need them, is the firefighters. The firefighters have been with me my whole career.
I think Biden has just admitted he's a pyromaniac. He's burning the nation down, so he's thanking the firefighters.
Because you gotta be crazy to be
Earl, his rigidity reminds me of a certain Austrian painter in the later stages of his life. You know, that's actually a very interesting observation, because
when I ran for president, I said
there's definitely that anger and articulation that's going on with both of their styles and evolutions. And yeah, it's kind of curious. It really is to see how kind of not just, you know, drugged out of their gourd, but also just kind of like how they changed in a lot of ways, and you know, went from very aggressive and dominant speaking styles to angry, creepy old men.
Or the playground, or the movies, or the high school game, and come home safely, not have to think about it. But for too long, too many families haven't had that peace of mind. They watch the news and they see kids being gunned down in schools and on the streets. Almost every single night you turn the news on, that's what you see.
Ah, yes. Every single night in Scranton. I mean, I don't know anybody in here that's been through Scranton, but there's some spots where you wouldn't be surprised if suddenly it became Little Chicago. Just saying that, yeah, I've been up there at the wrong time in the wrong place.
They see their neighbors lose their loved ones to drugs like fentanyl, which is a flat killer.
Ah, yes. Fentanyl. I mean, Earl, this look right here, I think, makes me wonder, is Joe wanting some fentanyl? See, the lack of motion of the painter in the late stages of his reign are similar to Biden. Absolutely. Absolutely. It could be fun, although probably have to put it on Odyssey rather than here to kind of do a quick side-by-side comparison of the two styles.
They see hate and anger and violence just walking the streets of America.
Yeah, well, that's anywhere. Clearly Biden doesn't know what's going on in Europe, or really anywhere.
You know, I call it the Safer America's plan, and both your members of Congress voted for it. It's based on a simple notion. When it comes to public safety in this nation, the answer is not defund the police, it's fund the police.
And I'm curious how that will go over, if anybody catches that in the movement of lives being mattering.
Fund the police. And give them, we expect them to do everything.
Yep, Earl, you're absolutely right. The southern border is wide open. Fentanyl is becoming a major yes, major drug of choice for the cartels. Yeah, that's I think the really disturbing thing in all this is they want to fight a war on drugs, but they don't want to fight against what is making the drugs popularized or easy to access. But that would just be racist to say.
We expect them to protect us, to be psychologists, and to be sociologists. I mean, we expect you to do everything. I'm not joking.
Yeah, no, he is joking.
Realize more police officers are killed dealing with domestic violence than anything else. They knew whose house to go and knock on the door and say, "Mom, your son just did." I'm not being facetious. They knew the neighborhoods. As part of the American Rescue Plan, signed into law last year, which they voted for.
Oh Lord.
Set aside $350 billion with a B, $billion for state and local governments all across America.
$350 billion to be squandered on pet programs of local politicians who are probably just as corrupt as old Corn Pop himself.
And urge them to use it like your governor did to make communities safer. Here in Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf is using $250 million of that money to reduce crime and violence across this state. And
let's see, Bay State, this is literally enraging to watch after 150 straight days of murder tantrums they let loose, like the whole thing being forcefully memory holed. Abso-fucking-lutely. And, kind of a self-promotion moment, self-shilling on my own channel. I'm working on a pre-recorded episode of kind of following the trajectory of violence in the political violence in the United States. And it is kind of fascinating. I start in the early 20th century and go all the way up through modern day. So far, I've only been able to record up through FDR. And trimming a lot out because I'm trying to get the highlights. But yeah, it's... I think it's pretty eye-opening if I get it all coherent and congealed together with the footage that I'd like to try to get a hold of and access to run. I don't know if that's going to be successful, but I'm going to try my best. Earl, it's coming in so easy because agencies need money that isn't traceable to the government in order to do things that are, shall we say, less than on par with legal. Yeah, exactly. Yep, fund the police, Biden. Yep, well, I mean, you remember the 1990s crime reduction bill where he basically wanted to send black kids to prison because, well, Joe Biden.
And Mayor Brown just described how it's helping fund community policing here in Wilkes-Barre. But guess what? Every single Republican member of Congress, every single one in this state, every single one voted against the support for law enforcement. Talk about how much they love it. They voted against the funding.
Yeah. Fund the police, Biden again. And you notice, and I'm not pointing anything out that's brand new, but I just think it's fascinating to constantly see the oppositional framing. The evil Republicans are doing this to deny money to being burned.
Flat out. Every Republican in the House, every Republican in the Senate, every single one. I know we expect so much from our law enforcement officers, so we need to support them. That's why my crime plan to help communities recruit, hire, and train nationwide more than 100,000.
I just like the idea of clipping out him saying the crime plan.
And I mean it. Folks, when it comes to fighting crime, we know it works. Officers on the street who know the neighborhood,
Officer on the street.
who know the families they're protecting, who get the training to know you, let them know who you are. Well, the truth was, remember what happened to community policing? We went from having enough cops on the street to cities doing well and then deciding they don't need more police officers.
Oh, that's strange.
And going up to see a woman whose name she's passed away, but won't mention her name now. And stand in that rotunda, that part that stuck out around the building, and she'd say, "Joey, I know what's going on. They all plan it downstairs. I can hear them, but I'm afraid to tell anybody. The gangs." And so I got her so that I got a phone number for the local cops. She called. They promised not to identify her because they knew there'd be retribution.
Ah, yes. Old Potato Head is doing his typical thing of creating a scenario that likely never happened, using it to promote himself as this great, caring man, and yeah. What more can I say that you guys don't already know about his character, or lack thereof?
The crime rate began to drop for real, not a joke. You gotta know people. You gotta know, and you gotta be able to trust.
And you gotta get really close in and creepy to the microphone.
We have a hell of a lot fewer cops today than we did when I wrote that initial crime bill. You know, they made headlines or not, there's a lot of lost souls. Increased trust makes policing more effective, and it strengthens public safety. And the communities, by the way, that want the police more than any other community are the tough, poor communities. Black, white, immigrants. They need the help. They want the help. It's not they don't want it. They want the help. Without that, victims don't call for help. Witnesses don't step forward. Crimes go unsolved. Justice isn't served. I took executive action, which I'm allowed to do as president. I always admired governors can take executive action. But all kidding aside.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right, Earl. It does probably still smell like the child that held it earlier.
No federal officer is allowed to use a chokehold. No federal officer can there's restricted no-knock warrants. We created a national database for officers who have misbehaved and been held accountable so they can't hide.
And look at that crowd in the background. They're just...
Local governments adopt these same reforms.
It seems like it's a hostage situation.
It addresses the opioid epidemic.
You see why, be the one? Why do politicians have...
And by the way,
sign language person now? Isn't that why they invented closed captions? Maybe deaf people can't read. You know, I dated a gal who was a sign language expert, and there was some rationale behind it. Something more along the lines of the closed captioning was faulty enough where, you know, most people who are deaf that use sign language found it easier to follow someone signing to them rather than the closed captions.
Gun safety law we passed in 30 years. It took 30 years.
Oh, 30 years.
And we beat the NRA.
Aww.
Come on, and we beat the NRA straight up. You have no idea how intimidating they are to elected officials. The NRA was against it, which means the vast majority of Republicans in Congress couldn't even stand up and vote for it because they're afraid of the NRA.
Or they just think it's shit legislation, but, you know, that would be beyond the pale for old Potato Head Joe right here.
It's not unusual. Every Democrats, Republicans, senators, they get afraid of certain interest groups.
Oh, afraid of certain interest groups. Like, the Democrats seem to be afraid of crossing the SPLC, or BLM, or Antifa. You know, remember when that little toad of a congressman said, "Oh no, Antifa's not real. That doesn't exist." While Portland's actually burning.
Against it. Law enforcement supported it. Faith leaders and teachers supported it. Victims of gun violence and their families supported it. Young people in this country, like the students of this great university, supported it.
Uh-huh.
The NRA and the vast majority of congressional Republicans voted against it, saving lives and keeping America safe. But guess what? We took on the NRA, and we're going to take them on again, and we won, and we will win again.
Yep, ADL should be on that list too.
We're not
You see why
stopping
I'd be the
here.
one.
I'm determined to ban assault weapons in this country. Determined.
Ah, yes, ill-defined weapons.
I did it once before, and I'll do it again.
Ugh.
For
That-
many of you home, I want to be clear. It's not about taking away anybody's guns. In fact, we should be treating responsible gun owners as examples how every gun owner should behave.
Yeah, I don't believe that one bit.
But I'm not opposed to.
It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna treat all of them. Oh, all of them the same. And that was special on my part.
Which I'm allowed to do as president. I always admired governors can take executive action. But all kidding aside, to make some of these reforms for federal office, I couldn't do it for state officers. Republican senators, they get afraid of certain interest groups. They voted against it. Law enforcement supported it. Faith leaders and teachers supported it.
So, let's see. Earl, love the fact that they think the defeat of the NRA will stop people from wanting to buy guns. We are going to ban certain rifles, but we aren't taking people's guns. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of the thing with all of this. Is one, the NRA has lost a lot of traction with gun rights activists. They really have kind of dropped the ball on being, good advocates for basically pushing back on the National Firearms Act. And yeah, I just don't see that happening. I also find it funny that they use, assault weapons and weapons of war, but if you look at, say, a black powder musket, like the Brown Bess or Enfield or Springfield, muskets of various types, those are technically weapons of war. That's all that matters. Bay State, look at the cops and military present not applauding a political message while remaining neutral. As a Brit, I weep that we may one day experience what it feels like. Yeah, I mean, I am still a neophyte when it comes to British politics, but seeing what you're going through and how you are having to become kind of stone-faced about the whole thing, that just boggles my mind.
But we're not stopping here. I'm determined to ban assault weapons in this country.
Determined.
I did it once before, and I'll do it again. For many of you home, I want to be clear. It's not about taking away anybody's guns. In fact,
Earl, your SKS with a built-in bayonet, not a weapon of war? You don't say. Yeah, I mean...
I have 2 shotguns at home. It's a long story, but I'm not opposed to guns. But I support the Second Amendment, and I support the Second Amendment. But the Second Amendment, as one of the most conservative justices in history, Justice Scalia once wrote, quote, like most rights, the rights granted by the Second Amendment are not unlimited.
It says, do not be infringed, numbnuts. I mean, what more do I need to say? It's explicit in that amendment that it shall not be infringed. Now, does that extend to nuclear weapons? Possibly not, but, I mean, if anybody in chat was here with a Davy Crockett, I'd be like, well, hey, can I come over and play with it sometime?
They're not unlimited.
I'll pay for the ammunition.
Right now, you can't go out and buy an automatic weapon. You can't go out and buy a cannon.
Oh, those are both blatant lies. You can buy any kind of black powder cannon because it's an antique, even new manufacture because of the way they're made. You can buy full automatics if you go and file the proper forms and you go through the process with the ATF. Hell, people can legally buy like mines in the United States. Not just the deactivated, but activated if they have all the right documentation. So this is all just blatant bullshit for the half-asleep audience in the background who wishes they were anywhere but where they are now.
And for those brave right-wing Americans who say it's all about keeping America's independent and safe, if you want to fight against the country, you need an F-15. You need something a little more than a gun.
Also, F-15s, if you can purchase one, completely legal. You have to file the proper paperwork to activate any weapons systems on it, but it can be done technically. And hell, you can buy like F-86, Super Sabres and MiG. What was it? MiG-15 that I saw for sale, and MiG-21 I also saw for sale recently. So, yeah, this is all just absolute bullshit. Sun up the, where the sun don't shine kind of thing.
No, I'm not joking. Think about this. Think about the rationale that's used to provide this. And who are they shooting at? Shooting at these guys behind me.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Antifa, or was it the John Brown Rifle Club or something like that? They're the ones enacting violence.
Folks, look. I went to every major school shooting in the country since I was the chairman of the Judiciary Committee all the way through as vice president and president. Over 48,000 people died from gunshot wounds in 2021.
And how many of them were self-inflicted?
Over 26,000 by suicide.
There we go.
When guns are the number one killer, listen to this, the guns are the number one killer of children in America. Children are number one.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
More children die from guns than active duty police and active duty military personnel combined.
Uh-huh. That's because there's a lot more civilians out there than there are police and military. Just a fact. You got that, Jack?
Hear that again? More children in America die from guns than active duty police and active
Yes, Earl, you can legally own a flamethrower.
We have to act.
And yeah, they're actually really cool to see in demonstrations.
El Paso, Parkland, Charleston, Las Vegas, Orlando. I've been to every one of those sites. Sit down with those parents. I spent 4 hours last time.
And he probably spent that entire damn time telling them about his beloved corpse puppet, Bo.
Think about it. Think about the devastation that's occurred. We have to act for all those kids gunned down on our streets every single day that never make the news.
Yeah, they never make the news because most of them are in Chicago, you piece of shit. But no, we can't talk about that. We can only talk about the ones that are politically expedient.
They're shooting every single day in this country, in the streets of America, every single day.
Yeah, because it's Chicago or New York or Atlanta.
So our kids can learn to read in school instead of learning to duck and cover. Literally, schools all across America.
Let's see, Earl again, at a small town airport where we used to do airborne ops and our static line jumps. There were 3 MiGs privately owned. Yeah, I have seen, maybe 13 various jet military aircraft owned at private airports when I was doing flying stuff. So. But, I know a guy who has a MiG-262. Well, not know him well, but yeah, I know him on site and yada yada yada. That's not someone I know well enough to be like, hey, can I borrow your MiG 262? UCY be the one. Yep, virtually in all blue cities, absolutely. It's yeah, it's something that they just will not address, is the cultural aspect of the gun crimes. It's not the gun itself. It's the, hey, you dissed me, so I'm gonna go blow you away bullshit. And it's like that part of the culture needs to change, but unfortunately, nobody wants to address that.
Kids are showing up.
UCY be the one, just make it illegal for the left to own guns. Yeah, I mean, well, it probably should be required that the left have tracking on them at all times.
Going to school, children see this on television. We're living in a country awash with weapons of war.
Based? Are you speaking of that gigantic, Scotsman who has a punt gun in his family? Oh, I have video evidence of American-made punt guns that one day I need to throw at the Lotus Eaters just for shits and giggles. Yeah, Biden's weapons of war. Everything can be a weapon of war. That's the thing, from pointy sticks. Yes, the gunt pun there, old based. How many beers in are you right now? Actually, how many beers in is everybody tonight?
Weapons that weren't designed to hunt are designed to take on an enemy. That's what they were designed to do. For God's sake. What's the rationale for these weapons outside of a war zone?
So, clearly, old Joe Tato here isn't familiar with the civilian marksmanship program, which was designed to refurbish military firearms and sell them to the public so the public could be trained with marksmanship.
They inflict severe damage.
Ah, yes, a 9mm will blow out lungs.
I almost hesitate to say to some of the people.
Earl, Pointy Six, Viet Cong enters chat.
Supply DNA.
Well, I mean, as long as they subscribe to me, I'm okay with that.
His AR-15 just rips the body apart.
Rips the body apart.
Could not identify the body.
Well, yeah, when you mag dump 30 rounds into a body and then swap.
Kid can walk in and buy one?
You're damn right. Hell, an 18-year-old kid should buy one. I would say a 16-year-old should probably be able to buy one with his parents' consent and monitoring. You see why I'd be the one. I don't drink often personally. I'm too old to be that dehydrated. Well, I mean, that's when you pre-game. Let's see. And Earl is opening 9, 5 shots total. Yeah, cool. And let's see. Bay State, just going for my 6th. I need to go to bed. 2 more work days to go, and I'm on holiday for the banking of the Deutsche Republik. Oh, well, let's hopefully hope they don't go with extra inflation like they did during the Weimar days.
DNA to say that's my baby.
Aw, DNA, that's his baby. Is that how they identified Bo?
No, I'm not joking. Think about it. What are we doing? By the way,
Earl, that is a damn good point. Yeah, Biden has never seen what a 12-gauge slug will do to a body. The same man, the same damn fool who told his wife in and I've got it somewhere, I just can't pull it up right away. His instructions to his wife were to take the 12 gauge and fire randomly through the door to scare off intruders. I shit you not. I need to pull that up. Maybe for the Sultans, I'll get Bezic to play that.
How many any deer or bear wearing Kevlar vests.
Okay, Biden also has clearly never engaged anywhere near a grizzly bear. There are stories that I was told by a guide acquaintance of mine out in Montana. And they were being charged by I think he said it was like a 600-pound grizzly. And 30-06, the bear just kind of ate. It was like, holy shit. So, Earl, 35. I do have a high tolerance, sadly. I'm going to the gym at 5:30 in the morning because my body needs to be punished. And my my liver deserves everything that happens to it. Oh, yeah. I've only got a few years on you there, Earl, so... yeah, I strangely enough, and I actually think it's kind of nice. My tolerance has dropped over the years, just because I don't drink nearly as much as I used to. And, yeah, so I'm now a cheap drunk, and it's great.
Not a joke. Do you realize...
Although, I don't think any of us could probably drink Biden under the table. He's been a professional for nearly 70 years.
Any other gun. 5 times is lighter and can pierce Kevlar. Imagine being a parent, not just losing a child, but not being able to physically identify that child.
So basically, anybody that's lost a child in a massive auto accident. I mean, I've known of morticians that have had to reassemble entire faces because somebody got hit by a car. So, yeah. Let's go, Brandon. Let's see, Earl, my dad tells stories of guides in Yellowknife and Great Slave Lake talking about bears they've killed just because they had to or die. Yeah, everything I've been told about grizzlies is if you can't get where they, away to a secured location, and that's like basically get in your car, lock the doors, and drive away. Yeah, I mean, you basically have to shoot. I mean, it's just, yeah. And these people are like, yeah, no, we want everybody, toting around, small single-shot, muskets that weigh 80 pounds. Like, no, sorry. Personal defense and safety are far more important than your damn program. Biden, or do you mean Pelosi? I mean... I think Pelosi's just a pure alcoholic, but Biden, he gets into some of the extra special stuff.
Blown apart. Firm director of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, responsible for fighting gun crimes for 7 years. The other team would not let us appoint anyone to that job. Incredibly important job to help local law enforcement, federal law enforcement.
Wait a minute.
A whole range of things. For 7 years.
So he's taught 7 years, so it's like, okay, when things were switched during Trump years, nobody was there, but this just doesn't make any sense. But then it is Joe Tato, so.
Stop gun trafficking.
Oh, like Fast and Furious.
There's a lot of states that don't allow you to purchase certain weapons in the state. They just cross the state line and go buy it next door. Bring it across the state line. Keep guns out. You know what the Mexicans are? Mexico, which has real problems, causing us real problems.
I find it very amusing where he's, across state lines. Let's see, Earl again. South Park gave us the defense we need. They're coming for our rights. They're coming right for us. Sorry, I got Gettysburg movie flashbacks there for a second.
You know what their biggest complaint is? Can't we stop gun trafficking across the southern border into Mexico? There are certain gun dealers that are basically not gun dealers, they're wholesalers, providing the weapons to anybody who have the money.
And passes the background checks.
We can help local law enforcement. We can solve more gun crimes if we have someone heading up, which we finally do.
You know, Biden has more pregnant pauses than an orphanage.
This organization is designed to track this kind of behavior. Finally,
Actually, they're not supposed to by law.
that help keep young people from getting in trouble in the first place. Under my plan, communities can, one, provide after-school and summer job programs.
Is this going to be the whole midnight
More access to
basketball
mental health
debacle
and
under Clinton?
More social workers and housing to keep people off the streets instead of when they get out of jail to get $25 and a bus ticket and end up under the same bridge that they were under before.
What? $25 and a bus ticket. What orifice is he pulling that out of?
This will help prevent crime, get young people to pick up paychecks instead of a pistol. At the same time, people getting out of prison successfully re-enter.
I don't think being poor has anything to do with gun ownership. Usually it's the other way around.
You shouldn't be You shouldn't be deprived of being able to, if you've served it. You shouldn't be deprived of being able to get a Pell Grant to go to school. You shouldn't be able to get a degree. What's the best thing you can do? Make them productive. Cops attacked and assaulted, speared with flagpoles, sprayed with mace, stomped on, dragged, brutalized. Police lost their lives as a result of that day. Police lost their lives.
Oh,
The officer
Lord.
said it was worse than anything he had experienced in
Hold on.
recent
Let's go back and figure out what... Yeah.
storming down the hallways of the parliament, breaking down the doors, trying to overturn an outcome of election.
Wait. He just said parliament. So now we have the Parliament building in Washington, D.C. Oh, okay. Based ape, the Bidens have more pregnant teenage girls than Planned Parenthood multiplied by Little St. James. Yep, that's a extra deep sip for everyone.
Imagine what you'd think. Think about what the world saw. Not what we saw, what the world saw. Did you ever think the United States that would happen? What I find even more incredible.
So after months of violence in the streets of the United States, this one incident where people were not armed is what the world saw. I'm willing to bet Based Ape here has a very different view on what happened. But then he is a Based Ape, so.
Cops attacked and assaulted.
Smartest crackhead he knows. Yeah, Earl. I mean,
sprayed with mace, stomped on, dragged, brutalized.
yeah. I don't even know if he's like up to crackhead level. I mean, it's like he's more like a meth head.
Experienced in war in Iraq. So let me say this to my MAGA Republican friends in Congress.
MAGA!
Tell me you support law enforcement if you won't condemn what happened on the 6th. Don't tell me.
Yes.
Can't do it.
You can't tell me what to say, old man.
Whose side are you on? Whose side are you on?
Oh, hold on. Bow tie dude. This is like the classic soy look. Right. Yep, the cursor. This guy right here. That's an unfortunate face. Indeed. You see why I beat a one? You're
either on the side of a mob or the side of the police. You can't be pro-law enforcement and pro-insurrection.
You know, this is just fucking disgusting. Again, the summer of love where believe the last count I did was 36 people were killed outright during the riots. But that is the greatest evil not discussed. But January 6th, oh, no, definitely the worst crime. Let's see, Bay State can confirm nobody outside of America thinks this is an insurrection or anything remotely like it happened in America. Not even the lefties. Totally fabricated inside our pitiful country. Yeah.
You can't be a party of law and order
Yep.
and call the people who attacked the police on January 6th patriots. You can't do it. What are we teaching our children?
That violence on one side is acceptable, but not the other.
Now it's sickening to see
Hey,
the
Cat.
attacks on the FBI, threatening the life of law enforcement agents and their families for simply carrying.
Again, the Seattle cops that, well, actually they weren't cops, they were U.S. Marshals that were barricaded inside court buildings and, attempted bombings and all that fun stuff. Yeah. I mean, this is just, I'd say blatant bullshit, but that's just way too mild, and I don't have a good vocabulary for all of the other incidences.
Carrying out the law and doing their job. Look, I want to say this as clear as I can. There's no place in this country, no place, for endangering the lives of law enforcement. No place. None, never, period. I'm opposed to defunding the police. I'm also opposed to defunding the FBI.
Let's see. You see why Beta 1 Code Pink stormed the Capitol during a session of Congress 2018. Yep. Let's see. BLM was in there in 2019 as well. And there was definitely a few incidences in, I think it was Madison, Wisconsin, where, it was over the teachers' unions, where they got in there and took over. Yeah, it's like I said, I hope I get that it's probably going to be a multi-part arc of anarchy in the United States, because it's a disturbing deep dive that I'm trying to simplify as much as possible.
Look, there's no greater responsibility for government than ensuring the safety of our people. Every parent should be able to know when their kid leaves home to go to school or just walk the street.
That creepy old Joe will be driving around with a van marked candy?
We can do this. We have to do this.
Oh, hey, Arden. Oh, no worries. How are Spoon Aiden?
United States of America.
What? No, you're full of white guilt. Actually, you're full of ginger guilt. So.
And when we are united, there is not a single thing we cannot do. Not a single thing.
Ah, yes, the tyranny of the minority.
I mean it. So, folks, let's remember who in God's name we are. I really mean it.
You see why, Beta 1? Arden is very late and very gay.
We the people. That's how our Constitution starts, the Declaration. We the people. That's who we are. And by the way, no one expects politics to be a patty cake. They sometimes get mean as hell. But the idea, you turn on the television and see senior senators and congressmen saying, if such and such happens, there'll be blood in the street.
Oh, you mean like Maxine Waters was saying, go and harass people in restaurants. There's just no credibility in anything this old potato says. Actually, Based Ape, I think Aiden's married now, but I'm not 100% sure. I know she was engaged like 2 years ago. And yes, bonk, indeed.
Where the hell are we?
I just want a constant loop of where the hell are we from Biden. Let's see. 39 minutes, 38 seconds.
Well, that's all I'm looking for. And folks, do me a favor. Presumptuous of me to say that.
Yeah, very
Think
presumptuous,
about
you
doing
old
me a favor.
bastard.
Please elect the Attorney General of the Senate. Elect that big old boy to be governor.
That big old boy to be governor. Ugh. It sounds like he's going on a sniffing campaign. Let's see. Yeah, Ardent, you see why I'd be doing well. You're half right, but I'm not telling you which. Let's see. No white guilt is one of white positivity, white well-being YouTubers. LOL. Fat and ginger Canadian. I mean, you're not really a Canadian. You're a Newfoundlander. Slightly different. And yes, you are basically made of shame. Married and bi. Well, if she's into monkeys. More like Scotch squatches. You know.
And by the way, there are a lot of really, and I mean this, I'm not being solicitous. Remember what used to be the criticism of Biden when I was running? Biden's too bipartisan.
Oh.
Biden has too many Republican friends.
What the fuck? Nobody ever
There's a
said
lot of
that.
Republicans I've worked with for all the years in the Senate. I got a lot done. We respected each other. When we disagreed on principle. We then went and had lunch together. Not a joke. What in God's name has happened to that in the United States of America? So, folks, let's bring it back.
Yeah, all right, whatever. Yeah, so there you go. That's the whole shooting match of what I wanted to go through this evening. But yeah, this misguided belief that partisanship is something new and unique. That is a blatant lie. It's a blatant lie. And I think it's something that I don't think we have a good enough historical context for. Because during the latter part of the Cold War, so I'm talking like late 80s, early 90s, there was a facade of more unity. But that didn't even exist then. But, you know, there were no external enemies for us to kind of mask ourselves with, so. Yep. So, let's see. Earl asking Ardent, so you're saying there's a chance? And Ardent, is it weird every time I see Biden speak, I want to scream, silence puppet? Yeah, no, I mean, God, I want to just kind of walk out of a open door, plane door, without a parachute. It's just, Based ape, okay. Bad monkey, hello darkness, my old friend intensifies. I mean, I would actually recommend Shock the Monkey, but you know. And Earl Spank the Monkey. Yeah, again, you know, if you look up what happened in, I think it was Virginia somewhere, a radio station played Shock the Monkey during the execution of two brothers for murder. Caused a bit of a stir. Let's see, back to Earl. Our unity was only thinly veiled at times, but it still came back. Yeah, I mean, you look at like 1919, the amount of division and actual outright terrorism that happened then. Yeah. And Ardent Party, fuck New York. Absolutely, fuck New York. So, yeah, Bay State, still need to look up this song. Yeah, Shock the Monkey by Peter Gabriel, if I remember correctly. And, yeah, if you really want to get weirded out, watch his Sledgehammer music video. That's a bad time. So what's the rest of so that's wrapping up my I won't call them black pills because that's Bezik's job. It more of a gray quandary pills with a little bit of laughter. So, let's see. Earl, yep. Fuck New York. Fuck California. I mean, I would probably say also Washington State, west of the Cascades. And, naturally, fuck Delaware. So, let's see. All right, well, chat, any other exciting things that you have to throw out there before I wrap up for the evening? Exactly, Earl. I want to be your sledgehammer. And then have dancing turkeys in the background. Well, hopefully you all got something out of this. And Michigan. And also the Ohio State University. Oh, no, what? Got a copyright claim on Saturday's stream, Ardent. Well, damn. Congratulations, Based. So, how did they retreat? Did they just put clothes on, or did they blink and you flung at them? And Earl got banned from Twitter? I mean, Based? Yeah, surprise. Well, one of my accounts on Twitter got deactivated mysteriously. They're like, "Oh no, you've got to be a bot." It's like, "No, but I use this, and I." No, you're a bot. Fuck you. It's like, okay, just because I trolled Gabby Giffords a couple of times, you know. Let's see. And Madison, Wisconsin says, Ardent, yep. Earl is now pounding his chest like an ape. Congratulations. And also noted the copyright claim was for something that wasn't actually in my video. Oh, lovely. Absolutely remarkable. Oh. Basted the banana copter. That needs to be a theme for one of those Factorio streams. So, well, I actually went an hour and 15 minutes longer than I initially expected. So I thank you guys for hanging out. And one of these days I might get on a regular schedule, but don't count on it. So on that note, and also the note of, I'm still trying to put together that kind of grandiose project. I will catch you guys next time. And let's see. Yes. Based is definitely one of the most advanced first chair skin flautists we know. And let's see, got a community guidelines strike for posting something that went against the Who. The clip was an unedited clip of the Who talking about. I absolutely believe that. So, all right, UCY be the one. Yep, catch you later. And yeah, I will catch you guys next time.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go.